Hey, what's up everybody? In this video tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at how to create the Automata box using a top-down approach assembly. All right, so far we've already done the bottom-up approach, and we can see we had the four parts, and we brought all those parts in, we create our assembly using joints and so on. Okay, but in this case, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting out here at the top-down project. We're going to double-click on that folder, and we're just going to come out here and do a save, and we're going to call this the Automata box top down. And we're going to go ahead and save that. Once you have saved it, you may go ahead and close out the data panel, and now we can go ahead and get things started. So what we're going to be doing that's going to be a lot different than what we've previously done is that instead of creating all of our parts first, saving those, starting a new design, bringing the parts in and joining them, now what we're going to do is actually just start with the assembly, create the parts on the fly, and basically everything that you're going to be doing is going to be hosted into one single file. So it should be kind of cool, interesting experience, and this is really what Fusion 360 is based upon. So here's how we get started. What we're going to do first is we're going to come up here, pick on new component, and we're going to go ahead and give this a name. So I'm going to say that this is my Automata box bottom. I'm going to go ahead and say okay on that. I'm going to create a sketch, pick on the bottom work plane, and now what I'm going to be doing is creating a rectangle starting here from the origin, and I'm going to go 5x4 on that, finish with the sketch, and now I'm going to go ahead and extrude this to come up a distance of 0.25. Okay, so I'm done with that. I can hit enter, and at this point in time, all right, what we're going to be doing is we're going to right-click here on the bottom, and we're going to come and say we want to add a physical material. And coming down here to my wood folder, I should be able to see MDF. So I'm going to drag and drop it on. And unfortunately, the MDF physical material doesn't have that appearance that's attached to it. So we're going to have to right click on this again and come here to appearance and just do a search here in my library, find my MDF board and drag and drop it onto that part. All right, so that is done. And so once we are finished with this, what we need to remember to do is that we need to come up here to the top level and hit this radio button, all right, in order to make it active. And now basically we've kind of reset this and we can kind of keep going. So what I need to do first is make sure that my box bottom has been grounded. Okay, we can see it cannot move, all right. And now we can go ahead and continue on creating the rest of the parts. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to come here and say new component again. And I'm going to say this is my Automata box side. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to create a sketch. I'm going to pick the top surface of this plate. All right. And we can see it's gone transparent. Okay. But we can go ahead and pick on that still. And now what we're going to be doing is creating a rectangle. We're going to start it from here, take it down to this line. And we need to make sure to add a dimension to this to make sure that this is 0.25. Okay, so I can go ahead and finish with the sketch, do an extrude, pick and pull this up, and that needs to come up a distance of 4. Okay, and now I can go ahead and say okay. All right, so my Automata box side is what we're currently working with. So I'm going to go ahead and right click, go down to physical material. And now what's really cool about working with the top-down approach is it's going to remember the last material that you use because it's in this design. So we can take MDF, drag and drop it on the side. And now we can right click, come down here to appearance. And now I can drag and drop MDF board appearance over just like so. All right. And now that has been placed onto that part. Just like last time, you need to make sure to come up here to the top level and hit the radio button in order to activate it. All right, so the issue we have at hand right now is that the side still has not been constrained with a joint, okay, to that bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and undo this, all right? And then all we have to do this time, instead of messing with joint, is now there's something new out here called as-built joint. So if we pick on as-built joint, we can see this is a rigid. I can pick the side, then pick the bottom. I can even preview the motion, and we can see it has applied that rigid joint right there in place. That's called an as-built joint. So we're just going to apply a joint just as it has been built. Okay, kind of cool, right? Okay, so now what we're going to need is a second side. So what we can do is we can right click here on side. We can say copy, pick out here in the white space, right click and do a paste. And now I can go ahead and just shove this over, make sure this is beyond the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and say okay. And then this is a time when we can come out here and apply an actual joint. Okay, so I can come into here, use my control filter. I can find my joint origin, flip this over, take this right here to this joint origin here, make sure that is a rigid, make sure we're all okay. And now we can see nothing is able to move. Okay, so we can see that is the second instance of that automata box side. Okay, so now I'm going to come up here, go to new component. I'm going to say this is my automata box top. I'm going to hit enter. And now I can go ahead and create a sketch right here on top of this face. Now, in order to do this one, I'm going to come down and go to create, go to project, and I'm going to go ahead and project. So you got a couple ways of doing this. You could pick a line, you could pick a point, but in my case, I'm going to say point here and point here. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to finish with the sketch. Nope, I don't want to finish with the sketch. Oops. What I want to do is create a rectangle going from point to point. And now I can finish the sketch, and now I can go ahead and extrude. And you might have a couple pieces here, so make sure you grab it all. I'm going to bring that up 0.25. Okay, so that's been done. Now we can go ahead, go into physical material. Okay, I can drag on my MDF. And now I can go ahead, right click, go into appearance, and drag on my MDF board to that part. Okay, and now I can go ahead and activate this at the top level. Okay, just like we did before, we need to come up here, go to an as-built joint, pick the top, pick the side, make sure this is a rigid. You can even preview the motion, say okay. All right, now we have our top. It's been installed. Nothing is moving, so we're good to go. And so for the last part, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to come here and go to create a new component. And this is going to be my automata box back. I'm going to say okay. And I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to create a sketch right here on this face. And just like we did before, we can go ahead and use project. We can project like a point or a line. And I'm just wanting to find that sort of interior sort of rectangular area. And now I can go ahead and connect the dots to create a rectangle. I can finish with the sketch, use extrude, pick this. Now you have to be careful. You have to really watch what direction the arrow is going, because we want that to go down. And in my case, this is indicating that that would be a negative 0.25. I say okay. And now I can go ahead and activate this at the top level. Okay, just like we did before, we need to make sure that our physical material on the back is going to be our MDF. And we also need to be making sure, okay, that our appearance is MDF board, like so. And just to wrap it all up, we're just going to be using an as-built joint. You can pick the back and any other part, make sure it's a rigid, say okay. Okay, and now here we go. All right, so our box is completely done. This was done in a top-down approach. Everything is built right within one file. So if I go ahead and do a save here and say okay, now what I can do is I can go ahead and take a look at the data panel. You're going to see there's only one single file. We're not seeing multiple parts. The other thing you're going to be noticing is if I take a look here in the browser, okay, we're not going to be seeing chain links. Instead, what we're going to be seeing are these radio buttons, okay? And if I went back and I actually opened up my bottom-up project and went into that assembly that we just previously did, you're going to see it's going to look a lot different. Okay, we're looking at chain links here, which is indicating that we've already created those parts. They're saved on the data panel, and they are linked to this assembly. Okay, so take a look. This is the bottom-up. Take a look here. This is a top-down. Two totally different methods. Okay, but this is what you're going to have to do for this assignment, is to do the actual top down, right? Just like I was doing. So good.